Hello, everyone. We are here for Sweet Regency Ramblings. We're super excited to do this again. It's hard when we only do it once a month. I feel like we never get to do this now, but it's kind of easier because now we don't have to be so crazy busy.
Yeah.
Well, we're still busy, but this is just one of those things. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about working class gentlemen. Oh, I hear an echo. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
Does somebody have their Facebook open?
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah, but I muted it. We're good.
Oh, okay. Casey, it was you. Okay. Because I just heard myself talking and I'm like, whoa.
That's weird.
Okay. All right. Working class versus the upper class, or working class versus gentlemen. Super excited. I think we all have a clear, well, I think we are kind of split, right? Both of us kind of like both, except for Mindy. Mindy's just tell us your opinion, Mindy.
I think working class is boring. Yeah. Clergy don't care about reading about you. Doctors don't care about reading about you.
Hey, you do know that my book
still
for
upper
our
class,
Christmas
right?
series is about a doctor?
I do. I'm sure yours is wonderful, though. It's all the other doctor and clergy books that are boring.
I have both.
No, they're not all boring,
I'm
but
just kidding.
they do not capture my attention
Like a duke.
like the nobility or the very wealthy.
Okay, so I want to get into why. Why is that for you?
For me, it's because I don't live that lifestyle. So
What, the
I
Duke
think
lifestyle?
the nobility and the uber
Sad.
rich. I was reading an article last week on what Mr. Darcy's 10,000 pounds really meant.
Yeah.
And they break it down into different categories as to whether you're judging whether the wealth is strictly monetary wealth or whether it's based on, anyway, they broke it down into 3 categories. And were I economically minded, I might be able to explain to you the difference, but I'm not. So I'll just say they broke them down. And first of all, they said that his 10,000 pounds was gross. So it was it didn't include his property. It was just how much money each year he had accessible to spend, which I thought was interesting. Because I don't know that ever really you ever really know that. Yeah. So that doesn't include Pemberley. Pemberley is above and beyond that. And so they were saying that in today's, and I think it was even 2 or 3 years ago that this was written. So take that as it will. But the bare minimum that he made was $998,000 a year. That's if you're just going cold hard cash, right? But then they said the next one you look at would put him at making more I think it was $10 million a year. If you look at it based on investments and all of that. And then the highest one was $17 or $19 million a year is what that 10,000 equated to. And which is staggering, but when they break it down and they were but what you had to realize is this was the top 1% of the 2% in England.
It's like a billionaire story.
Right. And so it truly is one of those that it's that was not super common. It's not you were oh, he's another 10,000 pounder. I mean, you can understand why Mrs. Bennett was oh,
go for him.
Water. Because that's a big deal. That's
Okay, but Mindy, he is not a peer. So it's just the money that matters to you?
No, it's not the money. It's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's just that being able to walk into a store and be sure, I will take that, $36 a pound tea that you have there because I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that lifestyle that I will never have. And I can barely imagine. So to imagine it is kind of awesome. And to live in that world that's so different than mine. Do you know what I mean? Whereas a clergyman, I live that every day.
Are you
is your husband?
know, but that social structure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, so what? I can just like look in the mirror and I got that book. I'm okay.
Yeah.
See, my thing
so funny.
with like the working class, like I'm like, I like it because it's different and you don't usually read about it. And I also like it because like they can get their hands dirty, kind of. Like they can get out there and work and clean and like take off their shirt and that kind of stuff.
They can have the physique of a working man.
Exactly. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Because like I feel like all too often we have these like dukes or these earls who like
Work out at
rich.
home.
they labor and they don't. It's not realistic.
That's so funny because last night I was rewatching Sanditon. And there's one of the characters, he's a side character, but he's like, they're talking about the regatta that's coming up, and one of the guys is like, maybe we should, they're going to have a cricket match, and he's like, maybe we should go practice. And the guy's like, practice? Like, gentlemen don't practice. That's like tantamount to cheating. And it's like, yeah, well, if you don't practice anything, then you can't look like super ripped, So
Yeah.
I don't know. Mindy?
Although horseback riding is fairly good exercise, and that's pretty much all the gentlemen did was go get on their horses and ride. So
Well,
Yeah,
that,
that's
like,
not going to build. That's not
I was
going to
gonna say-
build muscle. That's just going to.
it does in your legs. That's why they had such fine
legs.
Ab-
Inexpressibles. Padded calves.
Yeah.
I just always say that my men are born broad-shouldered and slim, and
They're lucky.
It's just the way they're born. Yeah.
Well, and
Every
if you have the
single
right
one of them.
backstory, your dukes can still work.
Yes, that's true.
It's all about the backstory.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
it's very interesting because as I was thinking about this, I'm like, well, Mindy, what you're reading for sounds like, to escape, which I do as well. But I'm also like interested in reading things that are like a little heavier and kind of more like gritty real life. And so I was like, maybe that's the difference, is like people who are more interested in, or are also interested in like working class stories, want kind of heavier stories. But Deborah, you don't like heavy stories and you like working class stuff.
Yes.
So it doesn't apply.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that because I'm. What?
One of these girls is doing her own thing, Deborah.
How dare you?
I know, yeah, because I don't like heaviness because it affects me too much mentally, and I just take it. I just internalize it too much. So I like everything to be light, and like, but like with the working class, and that's usually why, like with some of my working class things, like I don't really get into like hardcore nitty gritty kind of depressing stuff, except for with my last book. Like her life was pretty depressing, but she ended up with a gentleman.
That's
So.
Balmaiden.
Are you talking about Pin
Yeah.
Harrow?
Yeah,
And she's the
That's her-
Batman, right?
exactly. Yeah,
She was
So
a working
cool.
class woman, so you still had.
yeah,
She was
exactly.
a woman.
I know.
Yeah.
I love her. She's my favorite. I'm pretty sure every single book. I've said this before, but every other book I write, I'm just going to be like, this is crap compared to her.
She's not going to.
I know. She's so weak. She can't crush rocks.
Totally weak sauce.
It's so funny.
That's rough. So you've peaked already.
I know. I don't even know what to do anymore. That's why the last 2 books I've been like, ugh, can I just not write anymore? This is just horrible.
Let me just retire on
They're
a high
not
note.
though.
There you go. It's interesting because this last book that I wrote that like deals with smallpox in Scotland, like I enjoy reading books that are a little heavier, like I said. And so this one actually had a little bit heavier content because I'm dealing with this outbreak of a really awful disease. And I didn't realize how different the experience would be of like writing it to reading it. And like I did feel like weighed down. Like I would finish writing for the day and be like, oh, like I need to do something different,
Yeah.
So it is interesting, like how deeply that can affect you. And that is why like a lot of, especially during college, everything that I read outside of like my school stuff was like, George A. Hare, like very, like I just needed an escape and something light and entertaining. So I don't know. It depends for me, like, I don't know how I'm feeling, but I like both.
Yeah. Yeah. You like both too, Casey, right?
Yeah, I
Right,
do.
and hubby?
Just depends. It's the same thing. It's like my mood and what I'm reading for. And
Yeah.
I typically will read like a lighter book and then I'll read a heavier one and I just go back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
I like
we're
them
all,
all.
yeah. Yeah. And I think we're all pretty much like, I think we can all agree that we love Jane Austen's heroes. And I think the majority of us like Darcy at Knightley and Captain Wentworth and stuff. And they're like, they're rich and they're wealthy. They've got these nice lives. And I think those are the ones are those the ones you mostly would go for? Are there any other Austen men who you like more than those three?
Just kidding.
I would say Colonel Brandon though, too.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and I like Ferris.
Edward Ferris.
Stevens.
Yeah. But they're all still the same gentleman. Which one's the clergy?
Ferris ends up becoming a clergy. Yeah.
That's
you're not allowed to
and
like
he
him,
loses
Mindy.
his money. I do though.
No, but Mindy's not.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, how could you not like Edward Ferris? I mean, you'd have to be cold-hearted and beastie to not like him.
But you don't like Hugh
working
Grant,
man.
right? Is Edward?
No, he looks like a turtle.
Yes,
I had to bring it up.
No, I mean, no, he's not. But although I do like his alternate ending better. Maybe I would have liked Hugh Grant better had they done the alternate ending.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You showed us.
Oh yeah, where they're
We should
kissing on a
link it.
Oh,
bridge, right?
Yeah, they're kissing on the bridge. So
We'll
maybe
link
I would have liked him better had I seen that originally.
that makes sense. So those of you who are watching, feel free to say in the comments. We want to know if you prefer working class or upper class. You don't need to worry about offending us because Mindy's already done that for all of us.
Well, I like to play my part well. We all know that's why you have me come on here, so I can give a dissenting opinion.
I know. It makes it much more interesting this way.
Thank you for being different,
Yes,
Mindy.
girl. Yes, I love doctors. I love lawyers. And I love clergymen.
See, that's where I think it is. I think I like writing them as well as reading them, but I think I like writing them slightly more because writing them, did I say writing or reading? I like writing them slightly more because I think it creates more of a challenge for me to try to work around the whole working class thing. Like with the doctor thing I'm writing now, like it's like I'm trying to make him gentlemanly, but then like I have to like have him like examine people, but then I can't do too much because that's what surgeons do, not physicians and all that kind of stuff. So there's really it's a more of a challenge to me, which is I should probably stop doing that. I'd probably be able to write books.
I actually was at one point going to have a Mr. In one of my stories.
Have you never had a Mr. before?
Yes, I've had one or two, maybe.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
That is so interesting.
Cool. But
Super cool for you, right? What you like?
I think I don't really very often. Usually I will, if they're not going to actually be the titled person, then they're a second son. In fact, I was thinking today, maybe I should have retitled that series Second Son series or something like that, because they're all like
really
second or third sons, right? But I always make them of an earl or higher so that they can be Lord first name. Because when I was writing one of the books, then he was Mr. Brandon and it was a marriage of convenience. So he only called her Mrs. Brandon. I was like 3 chapters in and I was like, I am so sick of writing Mr. Brandon, Mrs. Brandon, Mr. Brandon. I was like, that's it. You're a lord. We're killing the dad and you just got a title, dude, because I cannot take this anymore.
So that's the thing that I can't, like the titles, I'm like, I am not touching that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I don't stray to the upper level, because I'm like, I'm not touching titles because I've heard so many horror stories of people getting them wrong and being called out for it and stuff. I'm just like, I'm good with Mr. Like, that's accurate.
Yeah, do it wrong.
Well, which you would think that Lord would be the same, but for some reason, like my ear, I just like twitch with the Mr. I felt like it was like Mr. all over the place.
Is that the same with Mr. Darcy, or are you okay with Mr. Darcy?
Oh, well, he's
and Mr. Bingley.
Or would you prefer to be Lord Darcy?
Oh no, he could always be Mr. Darcy because that flows off the top. That's not repetitive.
No, it's not. It's lovely.
Oh, look, we've got a comment.
I was just going to say that.
You go, Deborah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, Roxanne says she likes reading about nobility as a fantasy escape, but she loved reading Gentleman Physician because it helped her get another perspective and understanding of society as a whole during that time.
Now, that's not to say I don't read research books about these people. I do. These people.
These lovers.
Riffraff.
I like to be in their brains every now and then, see how the other half lives, but Sorry, Deborah, I
Well,
didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're just fine. I was just going to say Lisa Olson also said, you guys are my favorites. You're our favorite too.
She kind of has to say that if she's on here, though, right?
Yeah, well.
Oh. Somebody was going to say something. Martha, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's kind of, I like doing working class for a couple of reasons. And I think in order to really understand the upper class, you have to see the complete disparity that there was between the lives that they led and the people who served them and who made their lives, work. And then I also think it's fun to be able to give happy endings to people like you might not think that their life was very happy, but they were. I mean, I think a lot of people were happy, right? Like
they
it's just
are.
Yeah. Everybody's life has challenges and everything, but I think it's fun to give them their happy endings because they deserve them.
Well, and
that's such a good point. Go ahead,
it
Nikki.
is. And I think you're right, Martha. I don't think a lot of the time we realize the disparity that there was between the classes. I was researching the cost of tea, and tea could be, the most expensive tea could be upwards of $36 or 36 pounds for a pound of tea, which is the equivalent of 5 days work for a skilled craftsman. So one that is like high up in the rankings as far as the lower class goes. 5 days for 1 pound of tea. Yeah. And I think that's when you start to go, holy cow, that's like a big difference.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So anyway.
Those are the kind of things that I avoid in my stories. Because I'm like, I'm just going to focus on the positive.
General, I mean, even for the rich people, tea was expensive and they guarded it. That's why they had the locked boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can tell you that because I did an email about this on my newsletter, that this was from 1825. So just even a few years later than we're talking about. And this was a salary for servants who came from a country gentleman's household. It was a young family, and his income per year was between 16 and 18,000. And his housekeeper, so she's like the highest ranking woman in the house, right? She made 24 guineas per year. So pretty close to, 24 pounds, which in our money today is like $1,600 for the year. Where you have like the lady's maid got 20 guineas, dairy maid 8 guineas for the entire year. So
and that's I think why there was such a big disparity though, is because if you look at it now, labor now is so much more expensive than labor was then. So like servants were cheap for these people, which is why they had a boatload of them. Because
and it was it was so like they made so little they couldn't close the gap. Like today, if you work hard enough, you can succeed.
It's like a hamster wheel. You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Going round and round, can't stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey Martha, what's a guinea worth compared to a pound?
Let's see. I have it right here, I think. Okay. Hold on. A guinea was viewed as more refined than a pound and was equal to 21 shillings, where a pound was 20 shillings. So it's just barely over a pound.
So I can do my titles, but my currency, I have to look it up every single time.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, a penny and a shilling, I don't know. That's just money, right?
Well, and not only that, but the cost of things was so different back then. Like, things that are cheap to us now were expensive then and vice versa. So it's like very hard to get a grasp on, what things really cost people, but also fascinating.
It's hard to find though. Can I tell you how long it took me to try and figure out how much a bolt of silk fabric would cost?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Those are rabbit holes.
Crazy amount of research.
Yeah.
Yes. Esther says currency is the worst. True.
Currency is the worst. She flopped some coins onto the table.
Yeah.
That's for real. I handle it.
Me too. It's a lot easier that way. Deborah asks, back to tea. For tea time, did they water the tea down when serving at times?
A lot of the time, yes. Depending on your
reuse.
people. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't they reuse the leaves?
Yeah, which would be a similar thing. So, yeah, and that actually, I've read that in some books where I would guess that Marianne and Eleanor and their mother reused tea leaves because they were so expensive. So coffee was even cheaper than tea, which I thought was interesting. Who would have guessed that? I would have thought the opposite because I always picture tea as being like just their staple.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been doing my research in Scotland, and this is actually in the late 1700s. And so they had this awesome guy who I would love to personally thank if I ever get the chance, who did this he surveyed every single parish, 934 parishes in Scotland, and put it all together in this 20 volume thing that they call the Old Statistical Account. And at that time, I had heard the same thing, that tea was so expensive, but at least at this point, I don't know if they started taxing it differently later, but a lot of the ministers who were responding to this survey said that tea was taken in the morning by even the lowest of families, and often twice a day by some families. So I am curious if they started taxing it differently, which is probably true. They started taxing everything.
I think your teas had degrees too, or
some more refined,
right? And so your more exotic teas were coming from the Orient, as opposed, well, I don't know if all of them came, but your black tea or your green tea or your different kinds of teas, because it could be as cheap as 16 pounds
for a pound,
and so that or that's in today's time. Sorry, that is in today's. I think it was actually back then. It was
dang.
Yeah, no, it was he was 9 pounds. It's on my Facebook page. I'll pull it up and look. But no, that was in today's equivalent. Sorry, I was totally.
I was man, if you're a maid, you literally never bring tea because even 2 years of work.
Oh, serious friends. Let me look. So yeah, no, it is groups, that one. All right, because it was a did you know that I just had. Okay, so in 1810, a pound of coffee cost between 4 shillings and 6 pence to 6 shillings. And tea was 7 pounds 6 pence to 16 shillings.
Oh, okay.
Still, just no matter what, that's expensive.
Yeah. So, but that was still the same as a skilled craftsman. Yeah. That was right. I wasn't interesting. Way out on that. But yeah. So yeah, I had converted it into 2017 value, and that's what it is in 2017 value.
Okay.
Even still.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. I'm $3.50 for a thing of hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see why they would reuse their tea leaves.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually great book fodder, because then you can have people coming for tea and being like, tea.
Mindy, you're all set to write your working class book.
Oh, so exciting.
I just didn't have enough information.
That's all you needed.
Esther says, we don't understand because currency is the worst.
Agreed. Yeah.
It is.
Except actually currency is quite nice to have. Just not try to understand.
Well, if 20 shillings is a pound, then it was about half a pound.
And the equivalent they gave in today's dollars for a pound on this site for 1825 was 110 US dollars. So I usually just say 100, just give or take, when I convert it in my head for a pound. And that helps you see, with 10,000 pounds times 100.
Wow, those celestial seasonings people are they're missing the boat. There's more money to be made, apparently. So yeah.
Okay. Did you want to talk about Sanditon, Casey? Because you and Martha had differing opinions on something. Maybe.
Oh no, I just assumed that Martha would. Okay, so we were chatting earlier, me and Deborah, about working class versus non, and I said Sanditon is a really good example of two great men. One's a working class, one is, what is Sydney? Just No.
I mean, they had
Ability.
their money was in the slave trade in the West Indies, but he says in the movie that he got out of it because he found the slave trade abhorrent. So it's in sugar industry.
So he's still
Yeah.
a gentleman.
Yeah.
So I said that I think that the working class man, what is his name? Mr.
You're talking about his brother?
No,
Or-
I'm talking about the two guys that were into her.
I see. Stringer. Yeah.
Stringer. I think she should have gone for Stringer. And I said, I bet you Martha would choose Sydney.
I mean,
That's all I
okay,
said.
well, no, I really like Stringer, and I think there's little doubt that he is the more worthy of them based on his loyalty to, what's her name? Charlotte. But I mean, Sydney Parker is played by Theo James, and it's like
He wins.
that's coloring my my decision.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
in the beginning, they have Sydney Parker. He is like terrible. Like he's such a jerk. Like they really overdid it, in my opinion.
For not even just the beginning, for like most of it, I think. Well,
for like, I think it was like 3 episodes, or maybe it was 4, but he was a big jerk. So yeah, Stringer. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
Oh, okay. Working man for the win.
Again.
Because he's like a builder. He's like building the city.
Yeah, he's the foreman of Sanditon. So
getting his hands
luckily, I
dirty
just watched this. I wouldn't remember this if I hadn't literally watched it last night.
What year is Sanditon?
I mean, it's the last of Jane Austen's. I mean, she didn't finish it, right? So I would say like 18, 16, or 17, if we're assuming that it was contemporary to. Yeah. So. I skipped through a lot of it, I'll be honest, to my favorite parts. Because I don't really like the side plot. There's a side plot in there that takes up a lot of time that's not. It's a little bit, I don't know, yucky. Yeah. So
I want to watch that.
So all you need to do, though, if you just skip to all the scenes that have Charlotte and Sydney, and then Charlotte and Stringer, you're fine. That's all you did.
That's pretty much what I did.
I like it.
And it was still satisfying.
Yep.
Except not really, because it ends terribly.
See, and that's the thing that I will never watch that show because of that reason. Like I want to watch it so bad, but the fact that it ends terribly
till the last like 20 minutes. And imagine your own ending.
I can't.
She goes back to Stringer and they live happily ever after.
Perfect.
There you go.
Jane Austen would have written it. Why didn't the movie people?
Well, I think it's really actually quite ironic because obviously Unfinished by Jane Austen, I think she did like 10 chapters. And then somehow these people come in to do this series and they're like, oh, we're going to leave people on this cliffhanger because for sure we're going to be able to finish out this show. And then it's like, nope, you're basically Jane Austen. You don't get to finish your work. So take that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Who do you guys think Jane Austen would have ended? Like,
not like that.
Yeah, but do you think she would have put Charlotte with Sydney, or do you think she would have put her with?
I don't know. I need to read the part Jane Austen wrote. I read. I don't remember who finished the version of Sanditon that I read, but it's been a really long time. But I'd have to see how she wrote it and see if we have how many clues we have. I don't know. She gives her characters pretty happy endings, and I feel like that requires money and Sydney Parker.
Lisa said Sydney. That's what she thought.
Yeah.
I can't make a decision.
She does give them these like billionaire men. I mean, look at Darcy and Bingley, and they end up happy in the end. And I just would have liked to see how she would have reconciled all of that.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I have a pressing question for you.
I probably have to make like a big announcement. I'm sure there are a lot of people with the same question.
A lot of questions too.
For those who would like to address Elvis, please go to door B. For those for Jane Austen, please. There will be all kinds of lines. Those for the Kennedy conspiracy, you just go to the back of the line because you're crazy.
Oh, Mindy.
No more. We're gonna end.
I'm just kidding. I think there's actually a bit of conspiracy there, so we're okay.
Okay, we are gonna end.
I love how we're getting into this.
We're talking about upper class and working class. Okay. Oh, last one. Jennifer says Sydney as well.
Yeah.
We've got lots for Sydney. Probably Theo
Yeah.
James.
Because he's so, it's the actor. I
He
don't
probably
blame you
helps a
guys
lot.
for choosing him. Have you looked at Stringer closely?
I actually
Same.
looked him up on IMDb the other day because I was like curious about him. But I don't know. Sydney, he's kind of redeemed himself fairly well by the end of it, except for,
By choosing another woman or
Okay, but it's like a gesture to save his family, so it's a little bit different. It's not like he wants the money. Lucy, we will continue this later.
This is what I wanted to get to. But alas, it has been 30 minutes. So now we need to stop. This has been fun. Does anybody else have anything to say?
I just want to know which one you prefer to write. If you're going to write for the common person, is there a favorite?
Commoners.
Like a commoner?
Yeah, like
commoner
if
we'd
you're
want
just
to do?
doing like a regular working class person, what's your favorite like job?
I don't think I have a favorite. I like doing them all. Like it's fun to do. It's been fun to do each one. No, it's not. I would not want to write a million books about
They're all
a physician.
fun.
No, they are.
Yeah.
They have different, like whatever, good things about each one. Because like the physician has been fun, just because it is so crazy different, and it was so fun to write about bowel maidens. Those, if I can say bowel maiden, even though it's female, I'd say bowel maiden. Then there, not cop out. What about Casey and Martha?
Casey.
I've only written a sailor, so I haven't, but I have a doctor book coming up next year. So I'll be able to answer that better later.
I don't know. I like the working gentry, like physicians and stuff, just because they kind of straddle the worlds. And so that's kind of fun. You can do, like, you can kind of decide how to take it. But I think, I don't know, it really, like, sometimes I want to write something a little more frothy and lighthearted, and I gravitate toward, the peers and stuff for that. But I feel like as time goes on, I'm like, as I read my research books, I get like really fascinated by the lives of your everyday people. So that's probably starting to gravitate a little bit more toward that.
I'm just excited to know I write frothy.
Hey, I like froth, I said.
Who doesn't like froth?
Come hither, partake of my froth.
Which one? Okay, last question. Mindy, which one would you write about of a working class gentleman? No, working class man.
Either a lawyer. I don't know that I would do doctor because it just seems like it's
okay,
gross. So I would say probably lawyer. Lawyer would be, if I wrote about a gentleman, it would probably be lawyer.
Okay, next year.
Yep.
This is your quest if you choose to accept it.
We demand it.
Oh, all right. Let us stop. That was fun. Thanks so much for everyone who joined us. Next week, we'll have a get to know you author segment, maybe, hopefully. And then next month, we will also have another Ramblings. So,
and I believe that one's about Sense and Sensibility, right? And
yes.
Mindy, will you be there to talk about the turtle?
Of course.
The turtle situation.
Turtle situation.
Those ones are always fun comparing the movies. So that one's sure to be awesome. So make sure you join us then. And thanks everyone for joining in. Bye-bye.
Bye.